Welcome to the Electric Scooters Now July 2021 update. This month, Brisbane on the warpath for those not wearing helmets, with a 20% increase in fines. Sadly, there's been another e-scooter death in Brisbane, and yes, the rider was wearing a helmet. With rider safety being such a concern, we review two recent videos that show how to scoot safely. Will we see a scooter-led economic recovery? Well, data out of Townsville suggests this may be the case. Finally, bada bing, bada bang, the new Australian road rules are out and they officially recognise personal mobility devices as a legitimate form of road transport. About time, huh? All this and more, so jump on, lean forward and let's scoot. Well, we know that e-scooters are good for the environment, but a recent study from Griffith University reveals that they can actually boost the local economy of cities where they're available. The boffins at Griffith took tracking data from Neuron Mobility on trips made around Townsville between December 2020 and February 2021. They then combined it with survey data from 220 riders on how the scooter impacted their travel and shopping experience. And well, blow me down if there wasn't a positive correlation between e-scooter usage and money spent in retail stores and attractions. The lead researcher put it like this: "We analysed the visiting e-scooter users' travel and spending behaviours. Though their e-scooter hire costs were identical, the visitors who rode the e-scooters the most spent more money in Townsville each day. The more avid e-scooter users, the top third by distance travelled, spent 41% more per day than those in the bottom third for use." So the message to city councils everywhere is this: if you want to help your local businesses bounce back from COVID, start making e-scooters available to your visitors. Another interesting stat to come out of the Townsville study was this: 46% of visitors who used e-scooters were over the age of 40, many of them much older than that. The majority, 55%, were female. So much for e-scooters being a millennial male thing. Last month we told you that Brisbane Council had approved a 50% increase in its rental scooter fleet. But before that even takes effect, there seems to be a growing number of riders breaking the law by not wearing a helmet. The Brisbane Times reports that there have been 1,733 infringement notices issued since May 2019, of which 98% were for failing to wear a helmet. Interestingly, only 6 were for riding under the influence of alcohol. We suspect this is more due to the fact that riding sans helmet is easier to spot than a blood alcohol content over 0.05. A more disturbing element to this story is the revelation that helmet infringements are actually rising. There's been a 20% increase in the monthly average this year when compared to 2019. Here at Electric Scooters Now, we strongly encourage all scooter riders to wear a helmet at all times. Not only does it save your precious brain in a collision, but it also takes away one more reason for the anti-scooter brigade to try and take away our right to scoot. Make no mistake, if enough idiots on hire scooters, and they are mostly hire scooter riders, carry on like they are above the law, then we could see all personal mobility devices banned, as they have been in other countries. So do the right thing and helmet up. Our next story is a stark reminder that riding electric scooters can be dangerous and even deadly. This month, a man was killed when he collided with a lamppost in Brisbane. Details are sketchy, but we do know he was wearing a helmet. It's understood the scooter overtook a push bike just prior to the incident. It became a bit wobbly and then collided with the pole, an eyewitness stated. The speed he was doing is yet to be determined. This is the third e-scooter fatality to have occurred in Brisbane since trials began in 2018. It is the first to involve a privately owned scooter. Our thoughts are with the family of the victim. Every scooter fatality is a tragedy, and that's why we encourage riders to ride safely and wear the correct gear. No doubt anti-scooter commentators will hold this up as another reason for banning electric scooters, but consider this. In the 12 months to June 2021, there have been 32 cyclists killed on Australian roads compared to just 2 scooter riders. So we need to avoid jumping to the conclusion that e-scooters are inherently more dangerous than other forms of transport. Yes, they can be dangerous, even deadly, but the risks are manageable and the benefits of replacing cars with e-scooters are substantial. We just need to create safe spaces for their use. While we're on the topic of safety, I have included links to 2 videos that provide helpful advice on how to stay safe and avoid injury to yourself and the people you share the road and footpath with. The first was made for Singapore PEV users, and it is very focused on scooter etiquette. We like this video because it demonstrates how to be a responsible and safe rider who doesn't attract unwanted attention. As scooter riders, we're in a war for hearts and minds every time we ride. We can either piss people off and bring more criticism upon ourselves, or we can be seen as the politer alternative to cyclists whom pedestrians and drivers are happy to share their space with. The choice is ours every time we scoot. The second video was produced by our friends at Electric Scooter Guide. This is more of your rider skills style and gives some very good ideas on how to stay upright in various challenging situations. We particularly like the explanation of how traction diminishes depending on the surface you're riding on. Electric Scooters Now commends both of these videos to you for viewing before your next ride. So, without any fanfare, the National Transport Commission, via the Parliamentary Councils Committee, have released the new version of the Australian road rules. The first thing to note is that these rules are not law, but simply a model set of rules that may be used as a template by lawmakers in each state. It's hoped that each state legislature will assimilate this code into their own road rules, providing consistency for drivers everywhere. The document is 350 pages in length, and there is a link in the description section below. The part that you will be most interested in is Part 14, Division 2, pertaining to wheeled recreational devices and motorised toys, and Division 3, which pertains to personal mobility devices. In simple terms, a motorised scooter is a type of wheeled recreational device having power less than 200 watts and which cannot exceed 10 km an hour on a flat surface. So we are talking about motorised toy scooters here. The type of electric scooter you see on this channel is classed as a personal mobility device and is defined in the dictionary as having a maximum unladen weight of 60 kilograms, suitable to carry one person only at a maximum speed of 25 kilometres an hour on flat ground. Now I can already hear people screaming at me, 25 kilometres an hour is nowhere near the capability of my scooter. But let's be a bit more glass full in our assessment here. Right now, for most Australians living in most states, there is no way of legally riding an electric scooter of any capacity simply because there is no law in place to recognise their existence or their right to use roads and footpaths. So I see this document as a very important first step in getting e-scooters recognised nationally. Obviously, we hope over time that the limits on speed will be revised to account for situations where a higher speed would be safe, such as travelling on suburban streets or in a dedicated bike lane. But for now, this is a good start. Now, I mentioned that the relevant sections are found in Part 14 of the document. This is very significant because Part 14 is where you'll find all rules that pertain to pedestrians, and there is this explanatory note. Note 1. For the Australian road rules, a person in or on a personal mobility device is a pedestrian, not a rider. See Rule 18E. This division contains rules that apply only to persons travelling in or on personal mobility devices. So straight up we see that PMDs are not considered motor vehicles but pedestrian devices. They are subject to specific rules that don't apply to cars or motorcycles, or bicycles for that matter. Okay, so what are the rules for electric scooters? Well, I'm not going to go through them chapter and verse, but I suggest if you're interested, you should read them. There's just 5 pages to read, starting from page 225 in the linked document. Here are the most important rules. 1. A PMD user must not travel on a road with a dividing line or median strip, or a road on which the speed limit is greater than 50 km per hour, or a one-way road with more than one marked lane. It's important to note that this rule excludes road-related areas, meaning you can use the footpath or nature strip adjacent to the prohibited road, but you can't use the shoulder. A PMD user travelling on a crossing footpath or shared path must A. give way to a pedestrian who is on the crossing footpath or shared path, and B. travel at a sufficient distance from the pedestrian so that the PMD user can, if necessary, stop safely to avoid a collision with the pedestrian. Makes good sense, right? A PMD user must wear an approved bicycle helmet, cannot carry passengers, and must be 16 years old. Now we come to the most surprising and somewhat disappointing part of this document: speed limits. If you've been following the evolution of this document by watching my other videos, you'll know that up until now, the recommended speed limits for e-scooters were 10 km an hour on footpaths and 25 km an hour on roads and bicycle lanes. Well, it looks like the NTC were unable to get agreement to these limits from all stakeholders, probably because Queensland currently has higher speed limits on footpaths and other states have lower limits on roads. Bearing in mind that the ARR is only a model and not legislation, it seems odd that the various state transport ministers have dug their heels in on this element. However, it is what it is. At this stage, there is no recommended speed limit at a national level, so you'll need to refer to your own state laws to find out what the limit is in your area. You can also view our Road to Legalisation video, which summarises the rules for each state. One final observation is that these rules are very much written with an opt-out framing. So the rule will state this is allowed where it's not prohibited under another law of this jurisdiction. Thus, if any state were to cut and paste these rules into their own legislation, they would be automatically legalising PMD use in any area where they did not explicitly prohibit it by another rule. From our perspective, this is a positive thing. However, we don't know if it will discourage states from adopting the new Australian road rules. Time will tell. Thanks to those who commented on our June update. Brant Desmond had this to say: "The problem with these fast, heavy electric scooters like the Apollo Phantom is you're going to get idiots who ride these things fast amongst pedestrians and cyclists and end up killing somebody. The governments will then clamp down on the electric scooter use and possibly even ban them. It isn't legal to ride them on the street, so what is the use of a 60+ km an hour top speed when the legal speed is 25 km an hour? Yes, Brant, we agree this is a big risk as long as e-scooters are sharing footpaths with pedestrians." Which leads on to the following comment from Scootmasters. "Good vid, mate. Great content here. I see you even have some of our footage here from one of our rides at around 9:30 minutes in. We are Brisbane based. We have over 2,000 members now and host group rides every weekend. We broke a world record several weeks ago with 101 riders on a run. We are currently lobbying Queensland Government Department of Transport and Brisbane City Council to have laws upgraded to reflect the huge amount of private ownership of these scoots, in Queensland at least. Our scoots needed to be taken off the footpaths and allowed to travel in the bike lanes where they belong. Make no mistake, e-scoots are here to stay. You should come join us for a ride sometime." I couldn't agree more. Why are we forcing e-scooters to share footpaths with vulnerable pedestrians when they could be sharing bicycle lanes with cyclists who are travelling at a similar speed? It makes no sense. So good luck to Scootmasters as they lobby for more sensible rules. And congratulations, guys, on breaking that group ride record. We like using your footage because it demonstrates the way e-scooters can be ridden safely by private owners. And I'll definitely join you on one of your rides next time I'm in Brizzy. Well, that's it for this update. I hope you found this information useful, and if you have suggestions for future topics, please leave them in the comments section. Also, if you're lucky enough to be riding any of the new scooters reviewed in this channel, please let me know what you think of them. You can do this by emailing me at the address shown on the About tab. To make sure you catch future updates, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to be notified of new content. Till next time, thanks for watching and ride on!